this is Victoria Fashen and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be a little about a specific music genre that has impacted the goth subculture in a deeper, healing, yet external level. So let me explain. I want to go ahead and talk about shoegaze. Shoegaze is an off-branch of dream pop that occurred in the late 80s, more so early 90s. The reason why they're called shoegaze is because guitarists focus on their pedals. Why it's called shoegaze, because they're looking at their shoes. And there's so much importance in this specific genre. Dream pop, ethereal, shoegaze, what do they all have in common? It's dreamy, it's atmospheric, full of reverb, and layered guitar, which is my absolute favorite. Bands that are notable in the shoegaze genre are My Bloody Valentine, Lush, Ride, Cocktail Twins, and of course, of all, Slowdive. Which we're going to be discussing about today. Shoegaze isn't like punk or dramatic like goth and death rock. It's inward, it's emotional, and it's vulnerable. And that's what intersects and intertwines with the goth subculture. So in case you don't know, and if you're new to my channel, I have been into the LA death rock scene for a very long time. I found my home in the goth subculture here in Los Angeles back in the early 2000s, from 2004 to 2006. I first got into punk, but I felt punk was too aggressive for me. And then I ended up I found goth bands such as Dead Can Dance, Susie and the Banshees, and the rest was history. I still grew up as a typical goth girl, wearing all black, wrote poetry, and was very artistic and valued self-expression. However, there were moments where goth music, death rock, still felt too sharp, too ominous for me, and just too external. I am a very introverted person, so with that being said, I love music that can be able to stimulate my mind and my imagination, because my imagination runs so high. Endless ideas that I tend to produce in my mind constantly. So that's why I got more into ethereal. Yet I didn't get into shoegaze. I want to say the breakup, my first ex-boyfriend. I was so vulnerable at that time, needed something that was very gentle to my soul. I needed softness. I needed a place to feel safe. And because of that relationship, it was really hard for me to feel safe anywhere. And music has always been my safe haven to begin with. I remember towards the end of our relationship, that's when I was listening to Slowdive, and it was like kind of a calling for me. The first album I heard was Souvlaki. That's a very popular album. If you haven't seen it, this is how it looks like. One night, I was just spiraling. I was going through heartbreak, and I was going through changes. And I put Souvlaki on, and the rest, I've been obsessed ever since then. I laid on the floor. I stared at the ceiling, and I just let go. The sound washed all over me. I was able to let go. It didn't demand anything from me. It just existed right beside me. And that album gave me permission to feel whatever I was feeling that moment, without words and without shame. It's just been so amazing. The reason why I bring up my ending of my first relationship was because I remember one time I was listening to Slowdive. It was one of the last straws I had actually of this relationship, but he told me, maybe you shouldn't be listening to that kind of music. Maybe that's why you're depressed. No, you asshole. It's because you were treating me like shit. You were abusing the fuck out of me. It wasn't the fucking music. It was you all along. And instead of taking accountability, you were trying to take something away from me that brought peace to my soul. And that was like the last straw that like got to me, where I was just like, I'm not gonna let this jerk win. I don't like being told what to do. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm just not in relationships, is because I just generally don't like it. That was one of the main reasons why I left him, is because he was trying to change me, trying to change the music that I like, the music that saved me. This is including goth music, this is including death rock, ethereal. I know ethereal sounds sad, but it's my comfort, and shoegaze is my comfort. Yet, I wasn't gonna let anybody take that away from me. Throughout that time, I ended up breaking up with this person around 2017. And since then, I actually have been obsessed with Slowdive. It brings me back a feeling that I wish I could explain to the younger generation. There was a specific time, and you can get glimpses of what I'm describing in films like Fight Club, any films or forms of media that predominantly focus on Los Angeles from the mid 90s to the early 2000s. It still feels like that's how shoegaze feels to me. And that's a very nostalgic time for me, because that was a time where, of course, I was a kid, I was a child, and yet I remember Los Angeles, its culture, its vibe, its sense of grim grittiness, and especially during the rain. And I actually, funny enough, I am recording this video while it's raining. I have been traveling. I never thought I would travel as much as I have this year. I've already gone to Mexico, New Orleans, and Las Vegas. And then I'm gonna go to Oakland. And I'm actually gonna go to Oakland to go see Slowdive. So, so yeah, like I have this already 4 places in the last 5 months of this year. I get very nostalgic. It's a very healing time for me. It's a time for me to reflect, to be nostalgic, to be in my mind, to think and think and think. Believe it or not, that's one of my favorite things I like to do, is just to think and just reflect on life. And the one thing I could always do that will make me happy is put a record on, whether if it's This Mortal Coil or Slowdive, and I'm happy along with my dog. When I think of Slowdive, I think of my internal world, just singing to the external world. I think of Slowdive slaving my life. When I think of Slowdive, I think of the heavy reverb that I can get lost in the midst of those melodies and harmonies. I became so obsessed with Slowdive that I actually am more obsessed with the demos rather than the albums. Don't get me wrong, I love the albums. I love the studio albums. I love the fact that Brian Eno, who is famous, plays such an important role. He basically created ambient in the 60s and 70s, and he helped Slowdive produce, I believe, Souvlaki Space Station in the album Souvlaki. So yes, there's also Pygmalion. I can never say it. I'm probably like butchering that word. And as well, Slowdive, the self-titled album. All of those albums are great. It's not just Souvlaki. It's all of them. The self-entitled album reminds me of a sunny day in spring transitioning to summer. Souvlaki could be any season. It could be anywhere. And Pygmalion is just, again, Pygmalion actually reminds me the most about how LA used to feel. And when LA felt like it had its own culture, where it was Hollywood trash and glamour all in one on a busy boulevard, where there was clubs everywhere, debauchery, there was different record stores all over Hollywood. You know, the griminess and the grittiness of downtown LA. Like, there's something about it that reminds me of Los Angeles the way it used to be. This band means the entire world to me. I do want to make some recommendations of certain songs that I definitely think that you should listen to. Here are some of my favorite studio album songs from Slowdive. So, starting off with Souvlaki, definitely 40 Days, Allison, When the Sun Hits, and Melon Yellow. Pygmalion is Blue Sky and Clear, Changes, Cello, and Miranda. For Just for a Day, it's The Sad Man, Primal, Eric's Song, and Catch the Breeze. I actually haven't heard the last two albums that much, because, again, all their older songs are like comforts for me, so I still need to listen to their the new album, and I actually do like the self-entitled album, so be on the lookout in the next couple of months for me to talk about Slowdive and their entire history of Slowdive. And you know what? I also want to say something too. Fun little fact is Slowdive recently got big with TikTok. When they were making music from like the late 80s, early 90s, up to 93, 94, they were actually like ostracized from like all these music reviewers and like specific magazines, because shoegaze was popular at one point, and then Britpop became very popular, so it just took over the media and then just pushed like shoegaze on the side, and actually people thought shoegaze was very cheesy. So who would have thought years later, in 2023 to 2025 now, people love Slowdive. And you know what? I don't blame them. I actually so glad and thankful that Slowdive was able to get the recognition that they absolutely deserve. So if you're a goth and you're into the goth subculture, why do I think shoegaze and goth are crossovers, and why you should be listening to shoegaze a lot more in your life? Goth is just more than eyeliner, graveyards, and Susie Sue. It is finding beauty in the darkness. As cringy as that sounds. But you know what? It's true. Shoegaze, it's like drowning in that beauty. Floating in sorrow, floating in memory, even in sound. Both subcultures embrace melancholy, not as a weakness, but a sacred experience. Shoegaze is goth's dreamy cousin. It speaks to the romantics, the ghostly, the spiritual side of being an outsider. And I see it in our style. Lace and velvet, meeting ethereal. On TikTok too, how dreamy and how nostalgia the sound pertains and pierces through your soul. And you know what? Shoegaze, dream pop, ethereal gave permission to goth to be soft, to cry, and to dissolve everything and feel your emotions. Thanks to all that, but also to Project Records and 4AD. Okay, don't forget that. Here's also a list of some songs that you should definitely listen to. Actually, I should put it on the link of the demo, so I'm just go check it out below the video where it has some of the demos that I think you should listen to. Slowdive saved my life, and it wasn't just not because of the lyrics, but with the feeling. They gave me a place to be still, to transform, and to grieve. Be dreamy and romantic as well. If you're a baby bat, do not sleep on shoegaze. Do not sleep on ethereal, especially if you're into more the witchy, spiritual side of life and very dreamy and whimsical. Don't sleep on shoegaze. Let it hold you like a velvet fog and let it carry you home. Have you ever cried to Slowdive? How does Slowdive make you feel? Let me know in the comments. Let's make this video a space of softness and darkness and shadow. Alright guys, I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will be vlogging my little adventure to go see Slowdive in Oakland. They are playing in Los Angeles, but it's for a festival. I don't really do festivals anymore. And it's for a more so, I think it's like Just Like Heaven, and that they're going to be performing. This month I'm really going to focus a lot on Slowdive and Shoegaze. So just keep on the lookout for future videos. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please remember to like and subscribe on my channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.